Hey, welcome to TokuTalkers. Today we're talking Ultraman Omega episode 1 and also GoZyuger episode 20. We're adding Ultraman to the docket. I'm one of your hosts, Buster, and with me is my wonderful co-host Wyatt.
Yeah, here I am.
Yeah, and from what I understand, Wyatt's not too deep into the Ultra hole like I am.
No,
Like,
not at all. I've seen
yeah.
a few series here and there, but I'm not as obsessively caught up with it as I am with like Kamen Rider or even Sentai to an extent. So
Yeah.
it's definitely like out of those three, the least knowledgeable one for me. So this is gonna be the first time that I've really kept up with a series as it was airing. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, and this is a really interesting one to start off with.
Hmm.
Ultraman Omega. The episode title is "Here Comes an Alien." Pretty typical alien title.
Yeah,
Um, this was a solid episode. I wouldn't say it's like a phenomenal episode. It's a solid opener, I'd
yeah.
say.
I thought it was a
Well,
pretty good first episode of a show. Like
yeah. Well,
it
granted,
did. Mhm.
Well, granted, I'm coming in with I just like finished Blazar and Arc like the
Sure.
previous 2 years, so it's like
Mhm.
this isn't as well directed or as like eye catching but it's like it's
Yeah.
still really good,
Mhm.
like for what it is,
But yeah,
um
we can talk about the you know, just in
like the
general,
actual
like the
episodes.
thoughts of it. But yeah, I thought that it was like if probably one of the better first episodes of Ultraman that I've seen personally, just because it has like a really interesting hook right off the bat with the character of Omega being like a guy that's kind of stranded on Earth and just, screwing with this dude in his office. And like, just all of those shenanigans of like the clueless alien that doesn't know about propriety on Earth. And
Yeah, that was really cute
yeah,
stuff.
a
I was
lot of
a
yeah, I
fan of
like
fish
that
out of
kind
water
of
humor.
yeah, and I always appreciate uh I kind of appreciate it more when the Ultraman is its own character and not just like a tool to be used by a guy who is like teamed up with it. Uh like I know that that's like the vast majority of Ultraman shows are like guy gets given a gift by an Ultraman and then they transform together into a big guy.
No, this is like
But
very like harkening back to Ultra 7, which is just that's just
yes.
the guy. Like the Ultraman is
Yeah.
the guy. And like we've had Ultramans like that before. Jeed is just the Ultraman. Um I think Orb's just the Ultraman if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a bit. But yeah, yeah, it is like it's more common than like people like would assume, but it's still like not as like in recent years it's like they've been leaning into the Ultra Bond a lot of the time,
Yeah.
which like I'm okay with, especially like recent shows like Blazar and Arc have done some really interesting stuff with like bonding with the Ultraman itself, like the
Mhm.
host and Ultra relationship. But
Yeah.
like it is cool to like have like oh you are just the Ultraman again.
Yeah, it's
Um
like I think that could be cool if they did like what you're describing. Like I'm not denying that could be good or whatever, but like I do like having the Ultraman be somebody with more agency and more like uh more of a incentive or desire to help out rather than just again being kind of used as a tool by somebody else. Like even if they are both aligned in their goals, it's still like a little weird that one is like that it's kind of like a weird mutual like I need you, you need me, we're going to do this kind of thing. I just prefer a situation where it's like him doing this out of like the goodness of his heart and not out of like obligation. So, you know,
yeah.
that's that's just like one thing stylistically that I prefer about this kind of setup to the other like more common setup. And yeah, I've seen a little bit of Ultraman 7. So like the tomahawk like thing, is
Yeah, I think it's called like an eye slugger is what they call it. Like
yeah,
the
like that's pretty cool. And then Also, it gives me kind of like Red Man vibes from the design. I don't know if that's intentional at
I think
all,
it is
but
intentional. Like I think I'm looking at the design, like what inspired the design, because that like unlike the other Ultraman, like the Ultraman wiki is actually like officially sanctioned by Subaraya, and they actually have like a lot of really good resources on it.
yeah.
So like, they did mention like they were inspired like red faced like previous Subaraya heroes like Ultraman Zerf, who is also
Mhm.
like has a red face, and it's like, and they did like kind of do a tongue in cheek like, hey, Red Man is there for like a couple
Uh-huh.
promo material, so it's
That's
like,
funny.
you know,
Yeah.
they know.
I don't know.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know if anybody has. That is one show that I've definitely seen. Uh, Crazy, just just like one of the most deranged tokusatsu shows I've ever seen in my entire life. It's like kind of scary, honestly. Watching, I remember watching it. So there's a we did a podcast on it for Discuss All Monsters. So if you want to hear me and Nikki talk about how hilarious it is. There's actually a video on my channel where I edited like the clips from that podcast into a little video for like Christmas that year. I think it was in 2020.
mm.
Um, so check that out.
Yeah,
But
I do like Omega's design. It was like a bit like off-putting at first because it's
yeah,
like, oh, he's like all red, but it's like now that I've like actually
mhm,
like seen it in motion, like it's usually like what these things are with like the concept art versus like the actual suit. Like I prefer
yeah,
like it just looks much like once you get the actual suit and like the in action, it just looks much cooler. I also especially like the eyes, like the little
mhm.
like crystal,
Eyes are really cool.
yeah, the crystal like eyes. Um,
I think the mouth is weird. Like the fact that the mouth is a different color from the face is
yeah,
a little bit weird. Otherwise, it does. It looks kind of like Vision or whatever from like the MCU, like the red face and then the robotic
yeah,
body and everything.
I
But
can
yeah,
see
like
that.
I definitely one thing I really like, and this is the first episode, so I feel comfortable just saying all of the random mundane observations about Subaraya and Ultraman and everything. But I love the monsters having glowy eyes. That is such a good touch that I've always loved whenever I watch an Ultraman show, especially like modern ones, that they have like the eyes are like lit up. And even in this episode, when he beats the monster, its eyes like dim before closing. It's just so cool. It just makes them look more striking. It draws more attention to the eyes, especially because this is more so unlike with some of the other tokusatsu series. Like the monster of the week is kind of like very important to the whole thing. It's not
Yeah,
just a
like
gimmick to get an episode plot through. It usually is like, okay,
yeah,
this is a character, this is a thing in and of itself.
especially because the
So
kaiju often gets merchandise on themselves, so you gotta make it
yeah.
like important. Because
Hmm.
it's like I'd argue like monster of the week importance, in like terms of the big three toku. Ultraman's number one.
Yeah.
Sentai's like sometimes depending on the series, close number two or far number
Hmm.
two. And then Kamen Rider at the current point is like number three. We're usually fighting other writers at this point.
Yeah, other
So
writers or like big boss monsters, like not really like it's usually as the show goes on, it becomes rarer and rarer, especially like and Gav. Like halfway through the show, we're not really fighting any normal Granoots. It's just all like important, people in the from the Granoot world or the Stomach family or whatever, or
yeah.
another version of Bitter Gav that has shown up or whatever. But yeah, like I agree with that. I think that that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
What do
something I
you
really
think
like
of
about.
like the opening scene where it's like it's all CG? Because that fight was all CG. Like there was not actually a guy in a
Yeah,
suit.
it
Like what
reminded
do you
me
think
of
of it?
Shin Ultraman.
I can see
Like
that.
there's also the CG, the mocap CG reminded me of like some of the scenes in Shin Ultraman. So
Yeah.
and I'm assuming it's just like a enticing intro of action that's like
Yeah, this isn't gonna be
kept
like a common thing. It's just like, oh, it's a different planet. Let's
yeah.
experiment with some special effects stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's in this context of why he's there is left intentionally vague. A
Yeah.
lot of Ultraman shows kind of start with like oh, there's like one guy fighting a monster or fighting an evil Ultraman or doing
Yeah,
something,
like
like
Gene and Rube kind of start that
yeah,
way.
yeah. So like I've seen this type of intro before, but like I said, it's not that doesn't mean that it's bad or anything. I think it's a pretty cool scene. I think I also do think that the actual fight with the monster was pretty cool. Like there was some pretty memorable moments, like when the monster like crushes him into the ground.
Yeah, or
Uh,
like when the ice slugger like makes the guy bleed. I did not expect like
mhm.
blood in a modern Ultra show like just like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And then just like the samurai cut through him and then it like falls to the ground and just dies. I was like, oh, he didn't like throw it into the air and blow it up with a beam or do anything. He's just leaving
Yeah,
this
I'm
giant
very
corpse
curious to learn the
here.
context of the scene because like I forgot to mention the main character has amnesia, Omega. He's
Hmm.
just like
Hmm.
he's like Heisei Kamen Rider like Agito
Yeah.
style like oh amnesia.
Yep. Yeah, I saw
Um
people making Agito comparisons, and I was like,
yeah.
yes, makes sense. Mm,
Yeah, I can see that. Like I'm very curious to see like how they're gonna go because it's been a while since we've had like an amnesia plot in like a modern
yeah.
Toku. Like I think Build was like the last major one.
Mhm.
I don't know
And
Saber
even
had
that,
it, but like Saber kind of had
yeah,
it for like,
yeah.
but that was a very brief. That was very brief.
Hmm.
Um, like Build was like the last one I think that majorly explored like the
Yeah.
consequences of that.
Yeah,
Um,
like having a second life separate from what you remember. But with Build, the difference being that Sento had a developed personality as his, yeah, as his current persona, as his
yeah,
current Sento. Not trying to spoil Build,
yeah,
but like like after Amnesia, he is a fully formed person because we're kind of in media res with the show. Like
yeah.
we're months or like years or whatever after the
This is
point
like
where
we're
he.
seeing like they don't say his like human name in this episode, but they confirmed that it's
Yeah,
Sotoro.
yeah,
Um, and like we haven't really like we Sotaro's like forming his own like I mean like we already see like he already still has that heroic ultra spirit in him, but it's like he's like
hmm,
getting used to like the English or not the English
yeah,
Japanese
yeah,
like language like even like the English subtitles even like translate some of his broken Japanese into broken English, which I find very cute.
mhm, yeah.
Um
Very high quality stuff.
yeah.
The is it Kosei? Is that the name of the?
Kosei's the sidekick, yeah.
Yes, as I say, the side character. Like he, like I said, I really like the antics between him and Omega throughout like the beginning portion of the episode, like comedic and cute and everything. And they did
Yeah.
a good job making him seem like a kind of fed up, maybe a little bit of a stick in the mud, but also somebody who ultimately does the right thing when the time calls
Yeah.
for it.
Remind me of
Um,
Junpei from Wizard.
mhm. Yeah, that is very similar to that. But yeah, so I kind of a basic episode as far as like plot goes. It's just kind of introducing this concept, but I think it's a strong enough concept that it really struck me. And I think because it's not super plot heavy, it didn't really get bogged down. And I think it'd be easy to rewatch too. Like I
Yeah, like
feel like it's
when you
very
have
like
like the whole show like the like on YouTube because they do simulcast it on YouTube and you just like go from episode
mhm.
to episode, it would be like it would flow pretty well into the next.
Yeah. So I give it a thumbs up. I'm interested to see where it goes. Yeah, thumbs up
Yeah,
on this show.
it's a solid episode. I give it like I don't really give scores, but if I have to like if I
Sure,
have to
yeah.
give a score, it would be like a
Yeah, let's
seven,
start
8 out of 10.
yeah, let's start like,
No, I
however many
don't. I
episodes in,
hate
let's
giving
start doing
scores.
scores. Let's do that.
I hate giving scores. I just did it just to like just
Yeah.
articulate this specific thought because it's
Mhm.
just kind of a weird like I don't know
Wait,
because I
what
it just because
did
like
you
I like it but I don't like it as much, you know.
Yeah, sure,
Like
there are other things. And I think that it helps that other shows that are completed, you have the hindsight of being like, "Oh, I know what this is building towards."
yeah,
So
that
I
too.
whereas this is just it's untested territory. So we
Yeah,
just need to see how it's all going to build out.
I
But
also
I
like
think that
want to
it's
mention. I love
mhm,
the end of the episode where he says his name is Omega and it cuts to the title card. That no, that I have
that
no
is really
notes.
cool.
That's amazing. I love
Yeah,
that shit.
yeah. If there's one thing that's very generic about it is just the like saving the little girl and the girl gets separated from the mom. It's like I know these are all children's shows and everything, so I shouldn't be. And I'm not. I'm really not making fun of it too bad. It's not like something that is like terrible. It's just funny how often they use that as like cheap sentimentality. I think that they did it pretty well in this episode, but
Yeah.
they very rarely ever make like the child character a real character and
Yeah, just kind of like a
even
random bypasser. That's just like,
yeah. So, and I think I mentioned before that I like when the shows actually do manage to have like, even if it's just an episode of the week thing, they have like a character, actual character for the
yeah.
child that shows up. Like Gav did that at one point with like the dancing girl, and like the boy at the very beginning of the show. So that's just it's just like a funny little thing I always notice with these shows with like the TV tokusatsu, and is kind of relevant to this new episode of GoZyuger. If you want to
GoZyuger,
move on to
yeah,
that.
GoZyuger episode 20, serious about Garu. Oto changed her
Hmm.
character.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So I'll be honest, not
Hmm.
my favorite GoZyuger. For a couple
Yeah.
reasons, but still a solid episode, I'd say.
I would
Um,
say it's like there's something about it where it's not as funny as I was hoping it would be.
yeah,
I think it's kind of a weird episode where it's at odds with itself. But I kind of like that it's something really stupid is happening, but there are also these like really serious like plot moments and engagements and everything happening like with the characters. Like there's plot movement going on where we're learning more about Sumino and this like specifics of her sister and everything. Eventually, you find that her sister is indeed still alive and is not only Shinken Red, but a Gyaru now. Which, if people don't know, that's a fashion style and like personality archetype from Japan. Like bright blonde hair, pink clothes, like bright colors, big long nails, big eyelashes, everything like
yeah.
that. Sometimes with the darkened or tanned
Yeah, the
face.
tan skin. I just okay.
Yeah.
I need to complain about this. The monster looks awful in this episode. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
the
that
clothing is fine, but
mm,
like I am getting very bad. Oh, early Jinx from Pokemon vibes with the face.
yes,
I'm
because
sorry.
Jinx was based on like that style, like that's where her design was based on. So even when
Yeah,
they altered her design to not make it look exactly like blackface, and made her face purple, it still is very reminiscent of the Gyaru style, at least like that version of it.
yeah,
Which is not the like it's kind of moved away from that. Like Sachika and Gav, she's like she has Gyaru style. Uh
yeah.
which I always appreciated that, not to get into Gav here, because we're not going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Zets when that comes out, though.
Yo, yeah.
But
We can talk about some promo material at the end.
yeah, but there's a lot of fashion and like just that kind of Japanese fashion stuff worked into the DNA of Gav.
Yeah,
Part of the reason why I liked it so much from the start was because it had like a real visual style to it, not just it didn't look generic or anything like that, like a lot of Kamen Rider can. They're like, oh, we're actually putting in a lot of like art design and these like
into just the
contrasting
basic
visuals.
clothing. Yeah,
Yeah, and even the set design, like, there's a lot of points, especially early on, like just how colorful and how much these designs pop, and then you go to the Granute world and it's like dark and gothic and everything. But anyway, just that's a lot of context to say that I think I like Gyaru fashion in a modern sense, but there is still a lot of baggage attached to
yeah,
like girls darkening their face. Because I don't necessarily think it has to be like blackface adjacent, but it's definitely like brown face adjacent,
yeah,
like it's definitely like, oh, they're trying to be counterculture to the like pale face Japanese women archetype, and
yeah,
that is cool. Like I like the idea of being counterculture. It's just weird to be like, oh, we're gonna have blonde hair, we're gonna have the tans and everything. Uh, I guess it's kind of copying like there's a lot of American women that are like blonde women that have springy tans and
yeah. It's
everything, and I'm not crazy about that either, but
Yeah,
we
it's a
can.
whole thing. It just like I don't know. I mean, there's some funny bits with it. Like I like when the Rangers themselves, like the Rangers have good fits when they do the
Yeah,
whole Garu
absolutely.
Sentai with Oto,
Mhm.
and like
Yeah,
there's some again there's some good emotional beats. I actually like Fire Candle's little arc in this episode is really like cool. Like
it's
where
super. That got me very excited at the end
he,
of the episode. Like the resolution to his like plot in the episode
yeah
made me pop off. So
yeah. Um, Yeah, again, it's a fine like there's fine drama. There's fine like Oto
mhm,
and Sumino like finally meeting up, and like Oto kind of doesn't know what's going on because it's like the ring is kind of saving her, which I'm very
mhm.
curious to learn the context of. It doesn't seem like the next episode will learn the context of because she is nowhere
Right.
near the episode like preview.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just hiding her. I don't know, but I'm
She,
very
maybe she's hiding because I saw that Shinkano, like he appears, but he appears at first with like an Oni mask.
yeah
And then there's other scenes where it's just normal Shinkano and he's like fighting alongside
yeah.
the
So maybe
Sword.
just in the Mac, we'll see.
Yeah, so maybe like they'll get the Shinken Red because spoilers, Fire Candle gets the Shinken Red ring from Oto and becomes, the universe
The
Shinken
second
Red.
Shinken Red, yeah, which
Yeah,
like
which is
combined it with his hype like transformation pose and also the bing bing the ding, like
yeah,
it really
yes.
it went on so hard.
It is really good. It like retroactively made me like the episode because like I agree with you that I think it's kind of a more middling episode overall where it's like, yeah, this is
Yeah,
kind of funny. It's like more funny than most like the guys are dressed as girls episodes of
yeah.
Sentai, but like because at
The
least it's not.
baggage of Garu style kind of
Yeah,
like
I would
stands
say
out.
I think, but I also think that them being Gyaru like saves it from just being like transphobic or
Yeah,
whatever, like
yeah.
because
It's
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 like
kind of like a
it's
mix
more
of
about
like the
yeah.
it's a mix of like the Garu style saves but also hinders the episode. I don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And like I said to people that are interested in like that fashion and everything, I totally understand that the like most modern Gyaru stuff is like moved away from the like
Yeah,
darkening your skin and everything, it is more like, Sachika and everything from Gav where it's more about like just
yeah, you
standing
just
out and
like just did they
positivity.
have to do the did they have to design the monster that way? That just
No,
like that
they didn't have to like obviously they just did it that way so that the like 35-year-old parents that are like watching it with their children are like, oh haha, I know what that's referencing, at a
yeah,
glance. Um so like they just weren't really thinking super hard about that.
yeah,
But
I know.
I will not spoil Shinkenger if anybody has not seen Shinkenger. I very much recommend it. It's a good show.
Yeah,
But
agree.
it's very interesting what they did by having two of the Shinken Reds show up. They were able to use two different versions of the suit. So I just think that that's like a cool detail with
Yeah.
that because I was interested to see how they would handle that. Um, Shinkenger, that's like a lot of Sentai fans. That's their first Sentai because they
Yeah, because
watched it.
that was like when like RPM like ended and we didn't
Yeah,
know if there was going to be any more Power Rangers.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like a
I
lot of
know
people
that
just
that was
hopped
the
ship
case
to
for
Sentai like around the time.
me and my friend Cody. Like that was definitely the case for us. Where we're like, oh, what's going on with the Japanese version? I only heard of Super Sentai because that one episode of Dino Thunder, and like that's the beforehand, and then like yeah, it was like that, and then there was some YouTube videos like Mysteria Fusion's Mighty Morphin Zoo Ranger video
Ah, that's a
where they
throwback.
yeah talked about. I love Mysteria Fusion, by the way, great channel. But yeah, that talked about the differences between Jew Ranger and Power Rangers, which was really cool. And then they eventually did like a whole series, like episode by episode, going through the differences, which is super cool. But anyway, just Shinkenger, good. This episode, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's one of the weaker ones. Just in general, like I'm not holding. We talked about it last week, but I'm not really holding these summer episodes too hard against like the overall quality of the show because they're
Yeah, and it's like,
usually
hey, yeah,
pretty.
you're not gonna hit 100 every time, you know.
Yeah,
All right. Before we end up, I guess because you mentioned it, let's talk about that Zets news.
Ooh, yes.
So not only is the next Kamen Rider incoming, but it's apparently going to be either simulcasted either day and date or like a few weeks after to America and a bunch of other countries.
Yes.
The actually one of the countries that got me like interested is like they said the MENA region, which is like
Oh,
basically a bunch of
cool.
like Arabic regions. So it's like, hey,
Hmm.
Arabic subs. Um,
Yeah.
and even like the trailer promo used like an English voiceover, and it's clear that they're like kind of like hankering for an like they're kind of aiming for an American audience.
Hmm.
I have to
Hmm.
bring this up because I don't because it's been a big talking point. Yes, apparently the trailer had used stock images that could be Gen AI. I
Hmm.
don't think that's going to be in the show because usually they announce the show with like a bunch of stock image green screen stuff, and I think
Yeah.
this is just the unfortunate reality of like where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Even if they generated it themselves, which does suck, but I don't think that it's indicative of what the show is going to be, or
yeah,
any of the quality of the show. Not to say that I don't know, I'm not trying to be too dismissive or forgiving of using generative
yeah,
AI, because I do think it sucks and is very bad for all of art. But I think it's just totally fine or whatever. It's just like kind of a minor thing, a minor
yeah.
problem
Especially because
overall if it's in
I
just
just hope
promotional
it's just if
material.
I need to see episode one and or the full like press conference trailer to make
Mhm.
sure it's like okay, what are we cooking here? Um,
Yeah,
I do
but
like the
other
design though.
yeah,
I do like the. I
yeah.
know a lot of people have been kind of hating on the design. I like it. Of
Oh,
Zets.
I really like the design. I think like with it was interesting because with Gav going from that, Gotchard had a really cool design. Then going to Gav, it had kind of a very weird design, but I was interested in it because they're like really going for it. Like
Yeah,
they were going for something with the gummy bear style design. And then this is like a more traditional design. There's part of me that's like maybe it's a little bit too on the nose with being a reference to Ichigo, but I don't know. It's been a while since 01. It's been like six
yeah.
years. That show didn't really do too much with its referencing of like the original Kamen Rider.
It's more
So
like they usually do it thematically anyway. It's like it's
yeah,
usually like very much like baked into the themes. Like this is about dreams and despair. So I'm very
yeah.
curious to see what will that be. And it's like the pro
Kind of
like
reminds me
little
of
like
Wizard.
press yeah press release. They're talking about he's like an agent on a mission. So
Yeah,
it's like I'm very curious. No confirmed writer. I know Takahashi's been rumored. I don't really care who the writer is. I think
yeah.
it
I'll
will
be
be
interested to see who
nice.
it is.
Um, I mean, like actually, I do kind of care, but like I'm still
I
like
think it's
I don't
yeah.
like I'm not as anal as about Takahashi as other people. I'll put it that
Me
way.
neither. Yeah, I will say that the only show of his that I didn't like I don't know. I like parts of 01. There's a lot of 01 that I do like. Overall, it's my least favorite of the three that he did, with X8 being my favorite. And
Yeah,
then,
I think
you know,
X8's my favorite too. I think for me, Geats was my least favorite. It's the one I felt less passionate about. I'd
that
say
makes
because it's
sense.
still a
Yeah.
good show. I just felt like the less like passionate about it, like
Yeah.
compared
That
to
was the
01.
first that was the first Reiwa show I really like saw all the way through to completion as it was airing. So I kind of have
Yeah,
a bit of a soft spot for it, but I do
yeah, that's
recognize it has
fair.
some problems.
I mean, like
But
all Kamen Rider has problems.
yeah,
It is what it is.
absolutely.
It's just
Even
like
the absolute best shows have some issues with them, except for Kuga. That's perfect.
yeah,
But
true.
the but yeah, I'm very excited for this. I think it does kind of give me like, if this Ultraman show gave me some Shin Ultraman vibes, this also gave me some Shin Kamen Rider vibes. In that it feels like
Yeah.
they are trying to like edge up and make more like cool and cinematic. At least like that's the style that they're kind of implying with the teaser that they
Yeah,
did.
and
Whether
especially
that
because this is
is
going to be
true in
the
the show.
first like international broadcast of a Kamen
Yeah.
Rider since like I mean like the only other times we've had legal releases they're shows that have been finished. So this is going
Yeah.
to be like day and day, not day, maybe not day and day, but like we're getting it consistently with the Japanese broadcast. So
And
I'm
here we
very
are. We're
curious. So it's like they're kind of trying to do like a little back to like this is the traditions of Kamen Rider, for lack of a
Yes.
better word.
That's what I was gonna say. This is a Neo Reiwa, the beginning of that era.
No, we
That's
are not making that a term.
yeah.
I oh, bad, Wyatt, bad.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's the quick Zets thoughts. We'll have more thoughts as the show gets nearer. And
Yes.
yeah, I think that's about do it. We GoZyuger and pretty good Omega.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good stuff.
What plug your stuff, Wyatt?
All right, go on over to Twitter and Blue Sky at Waz Ranger, WAZP Ranger. It's mostly stream of consciousness stuff, but I do post about videos I'm doing, podcasts I'm making. This weekend, I just did a review of AJ Goes to the Dog Park by Toby Jones,
I'm
a
very
friend
excited to
of the
see that.
show. Yeah, very good movie. Totally recommend it. If you're a fan of stuff that Toby Jones has worked on, like OKKO, regular show, or his pilot, AJ's Infinite Summer, absolutely check out that movie. That's like the culmination of all of that humor and everything. So yeah, video just went up this weekend. Check that out. And if you want to support me on Patreon, also It's Only Magic, go there. $1 you get Wow Cool Robot. If you got $3 though, you get Cartoon Buffoons a week early. So you can check all that goodness. I think the current episode that just went up was Out of Jimmy's Head was like the most recent one. So
Oh,
if you want to
I
check that out
listened to
now,
that. I was like,
yeah,
oof.
terrible show. It's like one of the worst ones that we've talked about thus far. Maybe not the worst because I still think Robot Boy was so excruciatingly bad, but it's close to that. It may be like technically worse because, yeah, for a lot of reasons. Anyway, so go there, check that out. How about you, Buster? Where can we find you?
Hey, you can find me at the Buster Corp YouTube channel. Haven't really been uploading in a bit, but I got some stuff cooking. I swear. I
Oh,
swear I have some stuff cooking at the Buster Corp channel. Go subscribe and like and watch my backlog and all that. I'm also at Blue Sky at the same name. And you can, if you want to see more fun podcasts with my voice in them, you can subscribe to this channel, Modular Media. I don't know. Some people listen to this on Spotify, but if you want to see the YouTube version of the episode, go to Modular Media and see all of the podcast of like Analytical Fanboys and Modular Components. We actually talk about Zets on this week's Modular Components because they revealed the stuff right after before we were recording, so it was crazy. We're all like pretty hyped about it, but like now this is my more refined take on the promo stuff. But yeah,
yeah.
that's gonna do it for this TokuTalkers. We'll see you next week for Omega episode 2 and GoZyuger episode 21.
See you there.